Okay, so that didn't work either. Welcome, everyone. This is Mariko and Kendra. Welcome to the strategy session. Kendra, how you doing?
Great.
Mhm.
Excited to be here again so
Uh,
soon.
yes. So for those of you who joined us last week we had Peggy MacArthur join us on what was a rescheduled event, and Kendra and I we agreed that in the interest of keeping our 2 week schedule, that we keep our show uh, as planned for today. So we are excited to have everyone who's able to join us on Team Live do so, and those of you who are joining us on Team Replay, please jump into the comments and let us know your thoughts. If you have questions, rest assured we are going to address those questions for you. So, hey, I tried something different, and I don't know if you noticed. I trying to build a sequence that feeds and nurtures our shows.
hmm
And I put out a poll actually last week, and the poll was really around the subject matter that we're going to cover today. And the question was, have you ever found yourself furiously clicking on a button or link on a website?
I did see that poll and I did vote, and I was a yes for sure.
I was shocked to see how many yeses, because this has been an ongoing issue for I'd say at least five years that I've been focused and concentrating on customer experience. But even when I was in sales and in different roles, I would handle customer escalations. It's like I can't get through to your on your website. I can't make a payment. I can't. I'm clicking and it's nothing's happening. So I was astonished, really, that this is still happening, and that 71% of participants clicked yes, that they still find themselves furiously clicking. Um, I think the term is rage clicks,
Yeah,
right?
that
uh,
totally makes sense.
now, for those who voted no, I'd love to know um, what your internet is like, what companies you are working with, dealing with, purchasing from, because if they're going to set an example, I'd love to know what and who those examples are. Because at the end of the day, I think there's opportunity for all of us to improve to some capacity.
Yeah,
But it's always nice to know, hey, who can we look at and who can we model ourselves, and who's doing this right or better that we can look up to and maybe mimic or mirror what they're doing, or understand what technology is running behind the scenes that is helping.
yeah. So when we were talking about like our topic, I just felt like customer experience and website design go together so well because of that fact that you, on the customer experience side, you don't want people to end up having this feeling when they are trying to navigate your website.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And hey, I'm not a techie by any means, but I've worked with so many UX and UI designers and developers who have put together some fantastic websites, and they get it. I totally bow down to those professionals who are working behind the scenes, making sure that the user experience is seamless. So our friend Meryl has jumped on, and Meryl definitely voted yes. Um, hey, I didn't vote because I just felt that seeing how I put out the poll, I didn't want to um, impact the results either way. Now there were a few people, 8% of our respondents uh, responded to they didn't know it was a thing. Uh, it's like wow, I'd love to know who you're buying from or who you're engaging with. That if you've never encountered this,
Right.
hey,
I was going to say, or they haven't been online very much, but if they're answering a poll on LinkedIn, they're obviously online.
yeah. So Daniel joined us. Hello, Daniel. I know that this is near and dear to to you and the business that you're currently operating. So if you feel like you want to join us, we'd be more than happy to have you jump on stage. Now, I don't know if you noticed last week, I was trying to respond to some of the questions. I have a mantra that I've kind of really clung on to, and you've probably heard me say, "Be seen, be heard, be remembered,"
Mhm.
and that's simply me trying to simplify the whole message around personal branding and customer experience. And I know many of my colleagues in the customer experience space, they're really passionate about this, and perhaps even more passionate because they've been doing it longer than I have. And some really stick to the customer experience framework. And hey, let's focus on awareness, consideration, and they stick to terminologies and acronyms that sometimes, you know, with good intent, just doesn't resonate and it doesn't mean anything to small business owners, professionals. And so I'm trying to bring a fresh perspective and trying to bring plain language to this subject matter. So I created and I shared with my community my brand experience funnel. And I'm trying to help people visualize the concept of being seen, being heard, and remembered, and compare it to a marketing funnel,
Mhm.
right? And I thought I'd share this today because you're going to hear me throughout all my content really try to come full circle on this analogy because it means so much. When you compare a marketing funnel of any sort, that whole top of funnel, raising awareness, it's no different. That's us trying to be seen. And when we compare and we talk about today's subject, you know, websites, um, hey, that is an opportunity for whether it's an enterprise or a small business or just an independent solopreneur trying to raise awareness. It's so important if you have a website that capturing that attention, being seen. You only have a few seconds to really captivate your audience. And I know I was talking and mentioning I had a lot of people jump on my DMs. Hey, this is great, and would love to work with you and help you or your clients really um, bring out the best of your website. So I invited everyone who reached out to me to join the show and join the conversation and give them an opportunity to also have their voices heard and be seen and introduced into our community.
Yeah.
Uh, I don't see any of them on here. Doesn't mean that they won't jump on later, but I know Daniel. He was the first to chime in. So if we were going to prioritize, I'd love to bring Daniel up. No pressure, Daniel. Um, it's an open invite, and if you're unable to, that is fine as well.
That would be great. It's always nice to get more voices and more points of view. So I agree that that would be great if he wants to, or anyone else who would like to join. I know that you put that in the comment section, the link where people can join the stage. Um, Back to your graphic, though, the
Yeah,
capturing attention at the top of the funnel, that is definitely something that needs to be on the top of people's mind when designing a website. That first section where they land needs to be something that's easy for them to understand, to make the connection with what you do, why they need it, and give them a call to action right there at the top before they have to scroll on through a whole bunch of information. You want to make it as easy as possible to make that connection from the get go.
yeah, I totally agree. And I put a slide together, and I know I'm pretty good at sharing this with you, but I apologize if it's going to put you on the spot. But it actually resonates what you're talking about. In terms of quality, quality is I'd say by far one of the things you want to focus on, but you also want to optimize it. So it's not just about being visible, but it's where you're being visible,
Mhm.
right? So you can have a beautifully designed website, but if people can't find you, if people don't know that you exist, then it's all for naught. So you got to really optimize it, so that your meta tags have the right words. Yeah, and people when they're looking for stuff that you provide in terms of a sale or in terms of a product, and that you become either front of mind, first of mind, or just an option for people to drop by. Um, I I'll be the first to say, um, because I'm doing it myself, but I'll be the first to say it's a lot more work than I had first anticipated. I tried doing this on my own, and I should have taken screenshots and a slide and create a carousel of what my website looked like a year ago versus what it looks like today. Um, I'm sure anyone who's a professional in web design will probably say, "Hey, there's still a lot more potential." I totally agree. I just got to the point where my offers have been uploaded. For the longest time, my website was just a placeholder, but now it's a marketplace, and it's important for us to ensure that, when customers come by, that there's value,
Mhm.
and that value is quick to be recognized. Um,
Yeah, I totally agree with this section you have on quality content. And just something else that I would add
yes,
is giving some thought to the different places that people are going to land, especially, I see you have social media
yeah,
integrations down there as well. Not everyone is landing on your homepage, especially if you're putting links within social media posts and you have different purposes for them to visit your website. So, in the website initial design, you need to give some thought to the different places they're going to land and what the purpose of them landing there is going to be. And then it's easily integrated into your social media
yeah.
marketing.
So let's talk about that for a moment. So you're referring to perhaps a lead magnet of some kind that may not bring someone directly to a landing page, but more towards an offer or a resource, right? Sometimes it's a guide or it's a ebook or something
Hmm.
that brings that that person to the website, but you're in a subdomain and
Yes.
not necessarily the home landing page.
Absolutely. I just had a conversation with someone this last week during their free marketing assessment, and they're like, "Do I really even need a website? I have a domain, but they're like not fully utilizing it." And I think that because she was looking at doing a landing page, or not a landing page, she wanted a free resource that she could offer and collect those email addresses. She wanted that functionality, but if you just have a domain and you're not having a website, those are some things that you miss out on. And
Right.
so, I think that it is good to get a place where your domain can live. You can have all of those connections that are subdomains and those kind of things housed in one place. And then if you get the right place to build your website on, you can even have it functioning with your CRM.
Yes. And a lot of people do it, because everyone else is doing it. Everyone has a website, and even some customers will ask, "Hey, do you have a website? Do you have a place where I can go and learn more about what you offer?" And
Hmm.
it's important. Is it necessary? Probably not. I know a lot of people who are making do with just their LinkedIn profile
Yeah,
and their other social channels,
right. I
right?
have heard that a lot, and I get that question all the time. Like, are they obsolete? Almost. I do not think they're obsolete,
No,
but I know there's people functioning without them.
yeah, there are people functioning without them, and you know, I'll be the first to say I have it just to complement what I do, because people will ask.
Mhm.
It's still affordable, but the one thing is, I learned myself, and I share with everyone. Like, if you haven't got a whole lot, just keep it simple. And I jumped in trying to make this my website a whole repository of information, and it's like my dwell time, like people were jumping out just as fast as they were jumping. It's like, all right,
Mhm.
this is too busy. Uh, Give me something simple. So I've been
Yeah,
whittling it down, and that's key. And we hear that all the time. It's like, yeah, you got to keep it simple. You want to keep people engaged. You want to keep
right.
people moving along. Less is more, and
Yes.
I couldn't agree more with that statement and that sentiment.
Right. So you want to have a really nice flow, especially for the customer experience, and so that they are not getting stuck reading paragraphs and paragraphs. I mean, that's the worst thing to have on your homepage, in my opinion, is just like blocks with paragraphs, another block, a different color,
Mm.
paragraph after paragraph. Like, there's ways that you can make it flow much nicer without them having to click around too much. But a lot of times you honestly just need to red line through a lot of those words, and so that you can make the message super clear and not bog down your visitor with a whole bunch of reading. They didn't come to read a book.
Yeah, absolutely. How about when it comes to graphics? A lot of people love to put these flashy pictures and these flashy graphics, thinking that it's going to captivate the audience. But sometimes what it does, depending on who your domain provider is, or the size of the graphic you're putting in, you're bogging down and you're
Mhm.
slowing down your website. And people don't realize the impact and the importance. Like, customers will bail if they got to sit there and wait for your page to load. It becomes a hindrance more than a an alluring part of your design, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, I learned that lesson the hard way. So yeah, like, fancy graphics, can definitely do that, and it doesn't take very long for them to lose interest. So you do want to have that loading super fast and not doing anything to hinder it. So great point.
So David jumped in and he's sharing flow is key, clarity and simplicity,
Hmm.
and that I think that's what we're trying to share today. Yeah, simplicity. How about alt tags? Uh, when it comes to raising awareness, people hover over some pictures, some graphics, and I find that not everyone is optimizing the alt tags and the opportunity to share little tidbits of information as users are hovering over those graphics.
I hadn't thought of it as adding additional information for the users. I guess I had thought of it more as a keyword opportunity, with the graphics and the pictures, to be using it there to make it more searchable. But that's a good point. I guess you could, I don't know how long the characters go in that, but you could add some additional information.
So that's my perspective. I know that from time to time I will get and it's part of some people's LinkedIn strategy. And I know we're talking about websites, but I'll get tagged in a LinkedIn post, and I can't find my name anywhere. Then I hover over the graphic, and there's like hundreds of people who have been tagged. So, in terms of character limitations, I think it's safe to say there might not be limitations. Now,
Okay.
now
That reminds me of on Facebook when people do the at everyone, like so that
yes,
all of the followers get tagged. That is kind of one of my pet peeves, honestly. Especially there's people who do it with every single post, and I get what you're saying there.
all right, so we covered the whole be seen part, the visibility and the importance of visibility, and all the characteristics that feed into visibility. We talked about SEO optimization. Let's not forget the mobile responsiveness and mobile optimization, because
Mhm.
what your website looks like on your laptop, you got to be aware of what it looks like on mobile, because
Right.
half the users are using their mobile devices. So
I
I
think
always
that,
caution.
yeah, it's more than half typically. It depends on what industry you're in, but You're right. It almost I used to think of it as an afterthought. Okay, I'll do the desktop one first and then I'll go in and check the mobile version. It almost needs to be designed in reverse anymore.
Yeah, well, today I'd probably agree that it probably should be designed in reverse. That whole portrait versus landscape
Mhm.
aspect ratio is huge, and people don't realize it until either someone brings it up to their attention or they're scratching their heads as to, hey, I'm looking at my analytics on my Google Analytics, and there's something off. And then you realize, you go visit your website and you're on your phone saying, oh, this is garbage. But yes, like you said earlier, and I'm right with you. Sometimes you got to learn the hard way,
Mhm.
right? All right,
Yep.
let's jump into, we talked about being seen, being heard. So how do we incorporate or visualize or create a visual for our audience when it comes to being heard? And I had these four talking points, and it's really about creating interactive elements. So you have a website, and if it's clunky, and you know if your end user is having difficulty engaging and interacting, then you may want to revisit. And if you don't have the skills, there's no shame in hiring someone. Yes, some people might think, hey, it's expensive, but there are different ways to approach this. Not everyone is super expensive, and you'd be surprised, how an investment in your website and your visuals and helping your customers interact can actually improve your ROI. Right?
Mhm.
So you always got to look at things holistically, not focus so much. Hey, this is a big upfront cost, but think of the long game. Think of
Yeah.
what it's gonna bring to you. Right?
Mhm. And as far as user engagement, if they're landing on the homepage, you want to make it like a clear path for them to get to the point where they are ready to buy. So maybe they have to click a few buttons to get exactly where they need to go, but you want them to interact with the website without getting lost, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, for sure. I totally agree. Um, Seeking feedback. You know, sometimes I was a big believer of of the statement, "Be careful what you ask for."
Hmm.
When I was in corporate roles, it's like, okay, we need to collect feedback. I want to understand, or we want to understand what our customers are experiencing. And you put out your polls, and you put out your questionnaires, and customers are pretty transparent. Hey, here's my biggest pain point. Here's my biggest beef when I go online, or when I'm trying to make a payment, or whatever it is, and they share the feedback. And then it falls on deaf ears, or as um, I know if Meryl's still on, I'm going to give him a little tribute. What is it? All right, so we get
Nice.
the crickets.
Hmm.
So don't ask for something if you're not prepared to do anything with it. Right? If you're going to seek feedback, even if you're not seeking feedback, there are customers who really value your brand enough to take time and reach out to you and say, "Hey, you may want to take a look at this. Here's what I encountered, and I don't know if this has been brought up or if someone shared this with you." And you kind of hear businesses just nodding their heads, "Hey, thank you very much," and then next time you go in there, and it does the same thing. So it's when you say, or when I say, be seen, be heard, that be heard portion works both ways. You got to not only want your customers to hear your message, but you also have to be open to hearing what your customers
Hmm.
have to share with you.
Yeah,
Because
great point.
right, it
Hmm.
it has to work both ways. Otherwise, you could be setting yourself up for some setback, an unnecessary pivot, because you failed to take action on something that was brought to your attention months, if not years ago. personalizing the user experience, and we get all caught up and creating something that we're passionate about, and sometimes we forget, hey, this isn't about me liking it as much as it is about customers needing to be able to utilize this easily,
Mhm.
right? And I just heard something. Hold on a second here. That's We got someone at the door, Kendra.
Perfect.
That's all right. We're coming. Oh, and it's our friend Daniel. Daniel, how are you?
I am doing well. You asked for me, and here I am. How is
Hi,
Well,
everybody
Daniel.
doing?
it's it's a delight to have you join us on stage, Daniel. Why don't you share with our audience who you are and what you're currently up to?
Sure, sure, happy to. So it all started in 1995. My brother and I, we were with our family business, and it was hobby products. And we had heard about this internet show at the World Trade Center in Boston, and we didn't know what the internet was back in '95, but we knew it was something important. So we went, we met all these vendors. We actually met with, which turned out to be the 6 month old company, Yahoo, and one of the actual founders was there. He said, what do you do? Well, we told him what we sold. He said, well, that's your domain name, and you go register that. And that's how it started. But what happened was, so at the beginning of 1996, I didn't realize it, but I knew I needed to market our company. I knew we needed to get the word out online, that there was directories and search engines. And I became an SEO person, I think, before the term actually got coined. And I was doing digital marketing. So basically since 1996, that's what I had been doing. My brother and I, just about 2.5 years ago, we sold the family business after 40 years. Very proud of, we were the second generation. And just recently, in the past 6 months, because of LinkedIn and wonderful people like Kendra and America helping me on LinkedIn here, I've actually started doing SEO, digital marketing, and PR, for small to mid-sized businesses. Because I remember how I didn't know almost anything. What should I do? How do I do it? And a business owner, because we were running our business too, a business owner also, you need to run your business or do your craft or whatever you do and market. And what do you think, Kendra? Marketing itself, that one aspect, is a whole full time job by itself.
Oh, yes, it definitely can be. I'm kind of in that same spot as far as the niche that I serve, and that is those small to medium businesses. They need their time to be running their business, and they can't afford a full-time marketing staff. So, yeah, that's where I'm in.
Exactly, and also very reasonable rates, because I remember. Let's face it, the last 10 years we had the company. My brother and I, we had grown so much the company worldwide. We couldn't do the Google AdWords, the advertising, the Facebook advertising anymore. We had done it for 15 years. We couldn't do the marketing. We couldn't do the outreach to have inbound links, people knowing about us. So we hired marketing companies. We hired in Washington, very well known advertising company. Ran our pay per click ads, and huge relief that we didn't have to do that anymore. We could actually do the business of the business. But it those types of services can cost a good amount of money, and a lot of small to even mid-sized businesses don't have the budget to do these types of things, but know they should be doing SEO and marketing. And I myself have tried to make it affordable, and I think a lot of the connections I have are trying to do the same.
All right. So
Mhm.
what advice, like you've been in the family business for
Yeah.
over 40 years, you're
Mm,
now in digital marketing.
mm.
What advice do you provide or can you provide to our audience?
Oh,
So,
absolutely.
solopreneurs, people who are thinking of getting into
Hmm.
business, and you touched on it. Not everyone has the budget for it.
Hmm.
Where do people start? If you had to prioritize, hey, you know what, you got a small budget,
Hmm.
and where do you prioritize
Hmm.
when it comes to creating a website, or is it the website that becomes your
Well,
priority?
I really do believe you need a website, even if it's the most basic. If need be, a standalone one page, but something with a 4 or 5 pages. One of them being the main page, one being like a contact page, one is a about page, and then you have basically a blog, your learning section, your articles, so your Google can find you. Google can point customers to you because you're going to be talking about what you sell or what you do. So yes, I think it is important, but yes, you can do it if need be with a LinkedIn and your social profiles. Uh, Absolutely, it can be done. But the one thing I would caution you is what happens if a LinkedIn goes away, or that may not happen, but it gets bought out, and what you were getting for free or for 29.95 a month goes up to 199.95, or somebody like, I don't know, a huge corporate Amazon may just incorporate whatever the major aspects are into theirs, and you're left with nothing. So that's why I really do suggest, if at all possible, even a basic website, because that's yours. That's always going to be yours unless you don't pay the domain registration each year or every 10 years or whatever you think is best. So,
Well, the example we have, remember
mhm,
a couple of weeks ago,
mhm,
we had our friend Zakia on as a guest,
mm,
and she had 70,000 followers on Periscope. And
mm,
what happened to Periscope? To your point,
mm,
it disappeared,
Mhm.
mm,
and she lost those 70,000 followers.
Yep.
And that was her lesson, right? It's like,
mhm.
Yeah, and she made the point with it, she should have been working on an email list that whole time with her followers.
Yes.
But I think that that pairs nicely with what Daniel has said,
Mm,
like, you need to own your website so that
mm,
that's something that can't just go away overnight on you,
mm,
and you have all of your information there, you can send
mhm.
clients there and people who are interested.
That's a great point. Also, besides a website, or you also do need, like Kendra just mentioned, to collect email addresses, because that, once again, that is going to be yours forever. And those should be people who have signed up and trust you for what you do. And yeah, you'll always have that. So you asked, America, what's one of the biggest pieces of advice I could give, is, especially if you have a website, is think like the customer. What does that person who you want to come to your to your website, what do they need? Why are they coming? Do they want at first information? Do they maybe already know about your product, and now they want the specific specifications to see if it really is what they want? Are they ready to make a purchase? Is it easy to find, click here to purchase? And I would not suggest saying click here, but having specific pathways. But think like the customer. What does the customer need, want? What does it make it easy when they are ready to buy? When they land on the cart checkout, they have the item or items in their shopping cart. Do they know that it's secure? Is there like a life preserver at the top that says 100% secure, extended validation? There are different services that we can do. Um, so it's making sure the customer knows where they need to go when they're ready to go there.
Mhm. Yeah, sometimes them landing on your website is just part of the journey that they've been on. They maybe got to
Mhm,
know you somewhere else, but they're
Hmm.
gonna go check out the website to make sure that it's a good fit,
mhm,
just like they're probably gonna check you out on social media as well.
Yeah. So the website does act
mhm,
as a safety net. Hey, let's see
Mhm,
if there's any credibility, any authority,
mhm,
or is this just
mhm,
I came across this person or I came across this business through a link or through a referral,
mhm,
and more times than not, it's are there going to be reviews? Are there customer
mhm,
testimonials? Are there going to be
mhm,
test cases? Is there anything that I can go to this website to earn the
mhm.
trust that this business is to
The
asking me
the
for in
right.
exchange for my money, right?
The
mhm,
trust factor, exactly.
Yeah.
Reviews, different number of websites, Google and whatnot. Videos also, seeing other people use your product, or having your staff, make videos of them using your product or service. Um, those are two of the biggest trust factors that are out there at this point in time. Is videos and those different reviews from around the internet. And so one major thing I believe is everybody should know is we never know when you've been talking to somebody, when are they going to be ready to purchase. We don't know if it's the minute they hang up the phone with you, while they're still on the phone. Is it going to be 2 a.m. in the morning? Is it going to be 2 months later? So having your website, having them be able to purchase or actually get going with whatever your service is, a website is very important because it's going to be there 24/7, and it's going to be there when you're sleeping and whatnot when they're ready to go, because we never know with finances. They have their significant other's approval to go ahead with it, their business partner, so we want to be there when the person or company is ready to get going with it.
mhm,
All right. So here's a question. You talked about wanting to build a website that is focused on the customer's needs and desires.
Mhm,
And very often customers go into a website, and to your point,
mhm,
the website's there 24 hours, but we may not be. And we may not be big enough or haven't scaled to offer 24-hour support.
mhm,
And a lot of people are leaning in on
mhm,
AI, the chat bots.
mhm,
Any advice, pros,
mhm,
cons, anything you would caution someone, anything you would advise?
mhm,
Hey, if you're going to get a chatbot,
mhm.
make sure you do X, Y, and Z.
Sure. So for the business I mentioned that we sold a few years ago, it was actually about 8 or 10 years ago where we had a website chat. We actually had a website chat for about the last 18 years that we were in business. So a long time. My brother and I, we had identified it was important. Um, and the big thing is why you want to chat is there may be that they're ready to go. The customer's ready to purchase, ready to sign on the dotted line, but they have that one extra question. Um, is it going to come by UPS? Is it going to come by mail? Because my mail person hardly ever delivers on time. Is that one extra? Are there free? Is there free shipping? That type of thing. So there's always that last question. Um, and let's face it, it saves a phone call coming into you. Also, you can take 1, 2, 3, 5 minutes on a chat. Now, so what we did, we had chat for the 8.5 hours that me and my staff we were there during the day. And my accountant about 8, 10 years ago said, so you're there for 8 hours. So what happens when the other hours of the day, during the night until you get in? And well, people could leave a message. Well, do you get many messages? Not really. So we actually hired a sort of like an phone answering service. We hired people who did the same thing, but for chat. now, in the past 1, 2, 3 years, there are these chatbots which can read your whole website, your FAQs, your articles, that type of thing, and can actually learn and say the same things as you, not just generic answers sort of tailored to your products. Yes, there's going to be a 1, 2, 3 month learning curve where you may need to tweak things, but it can be saying and only what you want it to say from your whatever your database is. So there's very advanced technology out there, and these chatbots can really help, even if it's before it goes to a live person, in your place, or like I had mentioned earlier. So
And it's amazing.
Yeah.
yeah.
They are getting really, really advanced. I've seen like the opportunity. I know my website has the opportunity to do that, and I was given like a little bit of a tutorial on it. I haven't done it yet, but
Mhm.
I now after hearing you talk, I'm like, yeah, I need to take the time to do that. It's really cool. But Americo, do you find on customer experience and that people can have frustrations talking to an AI bot?
So the biggest frustration, and I think that Daniel touched on it, is the language model and the learning. And as
Mhm.
your bot is kind of collecting all that information, it's also important that you kind of learn and grow along with it, because trends do happen, especially if you're in a seasonal type of industry.
Mhm.
Things come up for the first time because the season
Mhm.
dictates that, this is now the time that this particular behavior happens. So it takes a while to nurture and build that language model to be able to
Mhm.
answer all the questions. But you also got to be part of the pivots. When something is pivoting, you got to remove that language
Mhm.
from the equation, because you don't want your bot responding to something that's no longer relevant. So
Hmm.
what I encounter most
Mhm.
times when I'm doing an assessment or mapping out a customer's journey and drop into a website, um, the biggest frustration is asking a question and the bot saying, "Yeah, I don't quite understand what you're asking for." So people invest in the bot, but it's very rudimentary, out of the box solution, and
Mhm.
it's just there. It's more aesthetics than actual a functional component
Mhm.
of the business, and that kind of uh, tweaks or people enough to
Mhm.
say, you know what, I'm not getting anywhere. Let me try something else, or let me try someone else. So if you're going to go in, make sure that you're committed to investing
Mhm.
all the way through, and not just come up with a band-aid solution, because it can come back and hinder your customer's journey and your customer's experience, to the point where it's like, all right, I'm not sure that I can trust this brand just yet, because they're still learning, and customers see through that, right?
Hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah. So for very small businesses, as you were saying, their website should have at least a contact page. Fill out this with your name, email address, phone number, and your question, and we'll get back to you. So I would say that's
Mhm.
the bare minimum. But I think that
Mhm.
there's some really good prospects with these chatbots as well.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I gotta say, if you're going to have a contact us section, or if you're going to have anything that's going to link you to a subdomain or another landing page, make sure that those links are working, because there's no worse feeling than one of
Mhm.
the getting a 404.
Hmm.
Uh, it's like, all right, another reason to scratch my head, and what is this the right business I want to give my dollars to?
Absolutely. Test everything and keep testing. And one more thing about building on what you just said, Americo, about like even just a contact page. Contact us. Have any type of contact method that you can actually manage and work and afford. phone number, toll-free phone number, text number. If anybody still does a fax number, contact form, whatever that may be, because you never know how different people like to respond and correspond. It's very common. I'm sure, Marco, in being with what you do, you hear people say, "Oh, you contacted me about my order. Oh, you sent me an email. Oh, I never look at my email. Why didn't you call me? Oh, you called me. I never pick up my messages. Why didn't you text me?" So have as many different methods as possible, for the customer to contact you, because we don't know what they what groove they're in, what
Mm.
jives with them for contact.
Yeah, and with your website, if you're a business owner that is busy running your business and you're not always uh, checking out whatever's showing up in that contact form, make sure you reroute it somewhere so that you get a ping and notification,
Mhm.
and hey, there's something that someone filled out. Uh, my website, if you fill anything out, I'm gonna get it dropped in my email, and I'll be alerted, and not have to wait till the next time I'm in my website and checking out what someone was inquiring about.
Mhm.
Now, Daniel, you brought up a point that I want to kind of take a step back,
Mhm.
um, and go back to the whole question on uh, heck. Now it skipped my mind. Here we are. If you had to choose, and
Mhm.
Kendra, hear your thoughts on this. If you had to choose, would you say focus on backlinks, focus on SEO? We know pay per click can be
Mhm.
very expensive, but for the small business owner,
Mhm.
where do you think someone's going to get more traction investing in their website?
Well, have a website, even if it's one, or the 2 or 3 pages, and the blog. Um, Good quality content. Even if it's once a week, you put out a blog post, talking about your products or services, different aspects. Um, you know, Good quality content is going to be shown in Google. Now, whether you're on the 10th page or the first page, the longer you're in existence, the more of these articles and blog posts you have, the higher up you will become, and people will see you more often. That's why consistency is very important. Even if you only do one a week, make sure you do one a week. Um, Before you know it, a couple of years, you're going to have a couple hundred blog posts, and Google will know that you're an expert, subject matter expert on whatever you do. So go ahead, America. What your bigger point was that you wanted to talk about?
So, in terms of advice,
Mm,
uh,
mm,
and in terms of keeping the budget
Sure.
relatively under control, backlinks or SEO,
Mm.
where would you say is your money best spent?
Well, I look at it sort of as one. SEO is this technical SEO where you want to make sure, like you were talking about earlier, your meta tags, your descriptions, image tags, make sure they're all marked with what they are. But then there's also, outreach to, different publications, most hopefully will be in your industry. Um, so Google will know, okay, yeah, this really is about the topic that you work with. Um, but you can also have the larger directories and sites, like LinkedIn. LinkedIn is one of them. You want links from your own posts. More Even better is on LinkedIn. I don't see a lot of people doing it. Definitely write articles also. From what I hear, is the articles from LinkedIn have a little bit better chance of being shown and seen on Google. Um, that could change next week. It could get a higher profile, lower, but that's what I hear. I don't see people doing. They're doing many more posts and none or very few articles. I'd like to see a better ratio of, like, let's say, 1 to 5, one article for every 5 or 6 posts. I think the articles are very important. You can actually do a lot more with linking to other sources, having much more information, images in the article, things on that nature. So SEO, link building, it's sort of your digital marketing is a slight aspect of it. You want to work hand in hand. What you're doing as an SEO and putting great content on a website, you want to make sure, if you or whoever's doing, like Kendra is doing your marketing, that you're in tune, and you could say, here's the blog post that we put live this week, here's the article we put live, and we actually did a video, so she can get that into an email news. And what else would you put it in to get it out there, Kendra? Those types of items.
Well, I was gonna say
Mm-hmm.
for organic content and trying to be cost conservative
Mm-hmm.
for a small, very small, medium-sized
Mm-hmm.
solopreneur business, just focusing on the social media content and
Mm-hmm.
email marketing, directing them to the website. Not everybody needs to rank first on Google. I know
Mm-hmm.
SEO is super important, but depending on what kind of business you're in, you may just want to drive that traffic organically through them knowing about the website, knowing about
Mm-hmm.
what you offer through your social media. It would
Mm-hmm.
be one of the cheapest ways you could go. But I do
Mm-hmm.
agree that maintaining that website is super important.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so a lot of
Absolutely.
great nuggets here. I agree. Articles, newsletters, they get crawled. Where your posts, if you miss the golden hour and it doesn't gain any traction, that's it. Once that flame goes out, it's hard to resurrect that post.
Mm-hmm.
Where articles, no. I shared this yesterday with someone. If I Google my name today, I'm astonished with how much of my content now comes up. Where a year, maybe 2 years ago, I'd Google my name and all I'd see was my LinkedIn headshot,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And so it does work.
Mm-hmm.
Can we take a few minutes to talk about ranking? Because I have my thought and more,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just a thought. It's not going to come with any
Mm-hmm.
advice, but I'm observing now that
Mm-hmm.
AI overview takes up half of the first page, and paid takes up the other half plus second page. Is ranking
Mm-hmm.
really what it once was? Organic, or trying to rank organically without paid, seeing how AI
Yeah.
has consumed most of the first page.
Well, overall, it's rather new. The jury's, overall is still out. But you're absolutely correct. And I just want to say one thing about the advertising, like a Google AdWords or a Facebook. It can get very expensive in a very short period of time. Somebody starting who doesn't really know what they're doing with the Google AdWords, just having a couple of settings not really tuned at the beginning, what you think $500 is going to last you a whole month could be gone in 5 hours. So talk to somebody like a Kendra or myself, who knows advertising, well, so your budget lasts and is used properly to promote what you really want. So your main point, uh, yes, AI is taking up a bigger chunk. There's a little tiny link icon, but not very many people are clicking on it. Some are. I have a few times, but a lot of times I haven't when I did want a little bit more information. And then there are ads up there. One of the biggest aspects that I'm finding so far, and I've heard some other people talking about it too, is be really niche specific. Whatever you do or sell, if you sell gardening trowels and gardening implements, make sure you talk about it in full. What are they made of? How's the best use of it? Is there a time and day that you should be doing your gardening because your body is warmed up? Talk about it, because not all the time is this AI or the ads so prolific at the top. So you get what's called long tail keywords. What's the best time to be gardening? Uh, with my stand up shovel, whatever it may be, and that's called long tail. And talk about that. There may only be 1 or 200 people a month in the United States googling that, but you would come up closer to the top, and AI may not actually know about it. So that's one aspect to sort of defeat AI, or you know get yourself out there.
Right. I really like what you had to say. I have seen something just recently,
Mm-hmm.
though, that said that pretty soon, I don't remember the time frame, but I can see it already happening, and I experience it with my teenagers. So they don't even go to Google anymore. They ask ChatGPT directly. And so that is something that marketers definitely need to be aware of. And I don't know, it's going to be
Mm-hmm.
interesting to see where that goes and how we stay ahead of it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I just thought I would bring that up because it's definitely on the top of my mind. Like, when
Mm-hmm.
is Googling something going to be obsolete?
For what I hear, Google is worried about that. It's called
Hmm.
two aspects really: voice search,
Hmm.
which we all probably do with our phone
Right.
occasionally, at least. Voice search, which is a whole. I actually wrote a paper on that earlier this year on my website. Uh, and then there is the Chat GPT, the Perplexity. Um, and so actually one of the aspects I've just had to implement, I have a press release service, and I've had to implement where some of these services that are actually going to the services that broadcast to these AI, services, ChatGPT, Perplexity, those types of things. So I've had to actually add that in. Um, and once again, the jury's still out on that. I've heard some people in my industry say, yeah, it's helped their clients get into these. Others say they're not really sure yet. So, we'll see.
Oh, what a great conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for joining us on stage, Daniel.
Yep.
Happy
So,
to.
my mantra is be seen, be heard, be remembered. I'm glad we brought you on here so that our audience can see, hear, and remember you, and all the advice that you brought and value that you brought to the conversation. I
Yes, it
know
was
Thank
that.
nice
you.
to
Thank you
see
for
you
having me.
face to face, Daniel. I've talked to you in chats and comments before, but never actually talked to you live. So this was awesome.
Almost in person. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Good to see you guys also.
All right, so we are at the top of the hour, and we haven't disappointed. I I know the day may come where we're talking and then we run out of things, and our friend Merrill gets a good chuckle when I play the crickets. But another great conversation, another a great piece of subject matter that I think is important. We got two fantastic marketers here with me, along with customer experience strategist. If you have any questions, or if there were questions that were dropped in the comments, I'll be sure to jump in and respond. Anyone wanting to learn more about Kendra, Daniel, or myself, please feel free to reach out. If we're not already connected, connect with us, and we'd be more than happy to welcome you into our communities and collaborate, work with you, or just simply be there to support and help your communities out. All right, closing remarks. Kendra, Daniel, I am going to shut my lips and let you take this home.
All right, Daniel, why don't you go ahead?
Sure, sure. So, like I mentioned earlier, think like the customer. What are the customer's needs? You want to help them. If you help them, even in the smallest way, they are most likely going to be a customer for life. They're going to thank you. They're going to send other people. I know the saying is the customer is always right, and there's a huge amount of people that say, well, not all the time. There's a lot of hard customers out there. Well, there are, but think about it. You want to make them happy, so they are a customer. And if you do, they're going to think of you, for many, many years in a row. There's very few that you cannot make happy. Uh, so, keep going, winning
Oh
one
man,
customer at a time.
you triggered another thought. I'm going to have to say something.
Go for it.
uh, Customers, yes. Are there difficult customers? I'm sure we all have stories. But provided that you're showing up and you're bringing value and you're being authentic and consistent, you know, not liking the right answer doesn't mean that it's a bad experience.
Hmm.
Show up, be confident in talking about the why. You know, we can't be all things to all people, but if we can explain why we're not able to accommodate or meet the needs of that customer, that's all it takes. Customers will value transparency when you explain,
Mm-hmm.
hey, here's why we're unable to do this for you,
Hmm.
opposed to just crossing your arms and saying, nope, you're not getting it. Right?
Yep.
Transparency, absolutely
Absolutely.
right. Most people will understand. They just want communication. They want to know exactly.
All right, now I'll zip it. Kendra.
Okay. I will just bring it back to design with the customer in mind. You can think something is going to be great and amazing as the business owner and want to have all of these things. But sometimes you do need that designer to come alongside and say, like, your vision is really cool, but that may not be exactly what you need to get the customer to flow and to follow the calls to actions get them to the end where you really need them to be to become a customer. um, so that's my closing thought, is just to incorporate what the customer experience. I know I'm taking your thunder, Americo.
This is our thunder. This,
Yeah, but that's really important to incorporate in the design.
fantastic. All right, everyone. For those who joined us on Team Live, I want to thank each of you who stuck around for the entire conversation. Those catching this on replay, we appreciate your visit as well. Drop your comments if you have them, and we'd be more than happy to answer those. So for now, good afternoon. Have a great rest of your day wherever you're tuning in from, and see you now.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Good.